told the group.
All right, I will call the City of Milton Common Council meeting to order this Tuesday, August 5th at 6 p.m. Can I get confirmation of appropriate meeting notice?
Meeting notice was posted at Milton City Hall, Hometown Ace Hardware, and Milton Piggly Wiggly.
Can I get approval of agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4, public comments regarding items which can be affected by council action. Do we have anyone signed in?
We have Pete Petrov that is signed in.
And I saw Pete leave. He had his questions answered by Mark before. So, okay. Number 5, approval of a consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Number 6, discussion and possible action regarding the special event permit application received from the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce for the Junction function. We have everything attached to our packet here. Was there any concerns by any of city staff for this?
I do have a question. Yeah. In the application, it states that you're looking for Common Council to consider waiving the requirement of the snow fencing. I just want to confirm that the alcohol beverage area will be fenced.
And can you please, the microphone, sorry, Deb.
So the area would be the whole area that we're looking at for the alcohol beverage. So that would be around the parking lots and the whole park. So we're looking for, there's not going to be just one little area. So it would be the whole area. So we were looking for that to be waived.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, you didn't have any issues with it?
No issues from our end, no services requested from the police department.
Anything with Public Works, or we good?
Some barricades, so minor expenses again, and then just with the construction project downtown, it'll be near the end, but it may not be complete, so there may be some limited parking along Merchant Row.
I do have concern about the area not being fenced just in terms of alcohol consumption control and crowd control, making sure that beverages are not taken off premise, and ensuring that there's no underage drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my feeling regarding the fencing. Either the particular beverage area or the entire event be fenced.
So the whole area would have availability, but everybody would be wristbanded. That is going to be able to carry any kind of alcoholic beverage. And we're planning, I talked to the Youth Coalition about having the ID checkers there too, so we would be able to address that.
About how many volunteers are you planning on having?
Boy, I sure hope we'd have about 15, 20, maybe.
Have we ever not required allowed to not have a fence to fence off the area?
Yes, the city has. The Milton Crescents, they have for all of their games. They are not required to fence off their alcohol area.
Are they under a special event permit? Or just for the games?
Just for the games, they're under a temp Class B liquor license.
And Brandon, no concern from your end about a lack of fencing from an alcohol being taken off premise standpoint?
I don't see it as a concern. I don't put this at the same level as, say, the 4th of July festival, where you have an exceptional number of people in that area. I know they're still looking at 200 to 300 people for the event, but given the time of day, I don't see it as a concern.
I'll make a motion to approve the special event permit application for the junction function.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Did I need to add something about the waiving of the alcohol or the fencing?
The application itself requested the waiver, so if you're approving it, that would be what was in the description of the event.
I do have a question, I'm sorry, because I can't in my mind picture it. Is there one in and one out then, or what is the fence controlling?
It's a good question because the fence would go around, if we did a fence, it
Yeah.
would go around the parking lot, around the park.
Yeah.
And then there would be entrance off of, is that Front Street? And then 2 entrances off of Merchant Row area. And we would have one like in the middle, one at the end down by where Junction Pub is, and then one directly across. So there'd be 3 entrances. The fencing, you guys can decide if you think it's necessary or not. I don't see that we would have so many people that people would be wandering away without our knowledge. Who knows? But if a fence is there, is that really gonna keep people from wandering away as well? So I feel like we would be able to monitor that with our volunteers.
Well, and I'm just trying to be consistent
Yep.
too, and that's, I think,
Yep.
what I'm talking to council about is, just being consistent. If we're gonna require that of one event,
Yep.
what are we looking at? Like, it's the first time, you don't know how many people, it's in the afternoon versus, an all-day event. I guess I just wanna make sure, I feel a little uneasy with it, just cause I feel like we required it of other events, but,
Sure.
and like even at community days, if we had wine there, we had to put a tent, a barricade around the drinking area. So I guess I'd like to be consistent is all I'm asking for the city. And if you guys don't feel the same way, I just wanted to tell you. I just want to put it out there for discussion.
Any further discussion? We do have a motion and a second still. So if there is any other discussion, we'll vote on that. And if it fails, then we try again. Good there? Yeah.
I guess I just appreciate any input from Jenny.
As far as the temporary Class B license, that is state required, does not require a fence. That is a policy that has been used in the past. So when it comes to the fence, from the liquor license standpoint, it would be approved. There's no issues with that. Now, there has been primarily the discussions as far as offense, if we were saying specifically for offense, those have been recommendations by the police department in the past. So that would be for special events, has been recommendations from the police department. But as far as for the actual license, I do not have any recommendations for or against.
I also think this would be a tough one to fence off, given the places involved.
I agree. I don't know how you're gonna put a fence up
Yeah.
in asphalt or concrete. I suppose it can be done. I don't know. Do we have the ability to do that? I guess I'm asking DPW or anybody else that has done this.
I mean, an organization could install a fence, concrete buckets with posts in it. There's probably proprietary products too for corners and fences, posts and stuff like that.
Any other comments? All right, then we have a motion and a second to approve the event application as submitted, including no fence. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
And motion carries.
Thanks.
Number 7, discussion and possible action regarding the special event permit application received from Good Works Brewing Company for the Good Times Roll Car Cruise event. So I'll ask first, again, Chief, any issues with this?
No concerns from the police department. I take that back. There were concerns addressed with Rubber Ducky, excuse me, directly, and who else was present for that? We've made some modifications to what Public Works would be doing to facilitate road closure for this event. So the concerns that were there had been addressed.
Okay, thank you. Anything from Public Works?
Again, minimal expenses compared to the amount required for reimbursement, just some barricade deliveries from us. So.
All right then, so council, any questions? I see Josh Gibson is in the audience if we have questions for him. Or then a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the special event permit application for Good Works Brewing Company for the Good Times Roll Car Cruise event.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? We will vote then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Number 8, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 2025-566, amending sections 70-153, addressing parking restrictions.
This agenda item was previously brought up, and council recommended staff provide some further clarifications on some issues posed by residents. An email was sent out yesterday to council addressing the requests for further explanation. So I can elaborate to that if there's any additional questions from council. Otherwise, allow this opportunity for council to continue any further discussion regarding that ordinance or proceed with approval or rejection of that ordinance as previously presented.
I guess I'll start. I think some compromise is needed here. The one for Northside, yeah, that seems very reasonable. I still have an issue with Ansley. I saw the videos. I don't think you could have found bigger trucks to park along the edge of it than find a bigger truck to try to get through it. As far as the school buses go, they make it through. And who spoke with the person from Go Right Way?
I did.
When you ask the frequency, was this a person that just sits at the desk, or is this from a school bus driver that says, I go through here 30 to 50% of the time? Or was it somebody that sits in the office says, I think they go through 30 to 50% of the time, that really, just throwing a number out that really doesn't know?
It was a driver.
It was a driver? But they can make it through, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then I watched the videos, and I sat there and I looked at it and I go, so you park some of the biggest vehicles. There's one of them was a dump truck. It had a dump bed on the back of it. And then 2 larger vehicles on the north side, and try to drive the biggest fire truck that we have down that street. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous. I walked that all the time. I walked past this area this morning. So when I say I know this area intimately, I know it. And I know who parks there, how often. Like the people that live on the south side, they've got their Chevy Silverado that parks in the driveway. Their SUV parks in the driveway. Rarely does anybody park on the street. The only person that ever really parked on the street was a gentleman that lived on the corner there. He's just recently passed away, and his house is for sale. And he would only do it occasionally. They had a larger truck with a larger bed on it. And he's not there anymore. I wouldn't be opposed to prohibiting parking on the north side, because that would straighten the line out from the east side of Ansley to the west, if you're trying to go through there with a bigger vehicle. But to prohibit parking on both sides for the residents who, I mean, how many times did we do snow removal last year?
I'd have to look, but I mean, half a dozen, 8, you know.
Okay. And then of those, you talk about, well, we had to stop if we meet a vehicle. And I'm like, well, how many times did they meet a vehicle that they had to stop or back up? So we're going to put an imposition on our residents 100% of the time, so that the bus company isn't inconvenienced 30 to 50% of the time, and DPW is not inconvenienced 6 to 10 times a year. Doesn't seem correct to me. I can see a compromise, and I'm a firm believer that compromise by its very nature means both sides walk away a little unhappy. So I'm assuming that the neighbors would be a little unhappy if they couldn't park on the north side. But I think that would help solve the issue of making that corner, even for a fire truck. And if the fire truck's gonna come up, I was looking at it, I thought, well, they came up and tried to make a hard right, correct? They came up Clear Lake, and instead of coming down Front Street to Ansley and then cutting the corner, they came up Clear Lake and then tried to make a hard right turn. That I used to respond in an emergency fashion. The first thing I thought of when I got a call was, how am I going to get there and what's the quickest route? Those are the two things that come into your head. And I'm hoping the fire department does that and looks at it with their big truck and says, hey, that's a heck of a turn right there if I go up Clear Lake to Ansley. It's going to be hard no matter what. That they would at least come up front to Ansley and then you would have a straighter shot across. That would make sense in my head. So that's my 2 cents. I wouldn't have an issue with no parking on the north side, but to make it on both sides, just for the off chance that we get this occasionally, doesn't seem fair to those residents.
I would agree. When I watched the videos, I was like, wow, some big vehicles. But the reality is people are not the best at parking. That's coming from someone who sometimes doesn't park the best. So they may park a few feet off the road, and that would prohibit a fire truck from getting through there. And I'm not willing to compromise on our resident safety. That if a fire truck has to get there, they have to get there. That's our job. And you mentioned only one person parking there sometimes, and I want you to clarify if I'm mishearing this. So therefore, we wouldn't be changing any behaviors of those residents. You said one gentleman parks there, or used to park there until he passed away. So is no one parking there anymore, or?
It is rare that you see someone parking there. And that's why I said I don't have a problem with no parking on the south side. I mean, no parking on the north side, but allowing them to park on the south side. Because if you look at that offset from the east side of Ansley to the west side, if you're going to come, and again, I think it's up to the fire department, if we're worried about that, to know their route. That's one of the responsibilities every emergency responder has, period. And they should know that that's a hard right turn, and maybe it's better to go up Front Street and then come across Ansley, then you can cut over. And if there's no parking on the north side, they can easily just cut that corner and go without hardly even slowing down. They'll slow down, but not that much. So it will allow the fire trucks through. They just wouldn't be able to go to Clear Lake and then make a hard right.
Right. I don't think we should be the ones to control fire department routes. I understand that we're trying, to figure out the best solution for this, and I just don't think impeding on any fire truck routes is the best way to go. I think we need to make sure that they have the ability to get anywhere in the city anytime that they need to, along with any other emergency personnel, just not fire trucks, but someone parks a few feet off the road, that's going to impede traffic. Or if someone is coming, two cars are coming head on, someone's going to have to stop and allow that vehicle through. So I do believe that we need to prohibit parking on both sides.
Chief, you wanted to say something?
I would just add, there was a fire on Ansley Avenue, right at the intersection with Vincent. And when we're talking about whether it's a law enforcement or EMS or fire response, you're not always coming from the same direction. You're not always going to be following the same route. And oftentimes you're going to take blocking positions across other intersections so other vehicles, pedestrian, civilian vehicles, can't access that area. So to assume or to hope that everybody responding would go south on Crescent to this area in Ansley, that wouldn't always be the case. And I'm sure, Ken, even when you were in law enforcement, you would take multiple angles or different approaches to a residence or an intersection. So, and the vehicles in question, yeah, I've seen a dump truck parked on that intersection, but the other vehicle was a normal Chevy Silverado, and they were parked tight to the curb. Granted, they brought the ladder down, but that's not unrealistic for a response for a structure fire. And we had that respond to that intersection, or to that residence for that previous structure fire in Ansley, which I think is why that vehicle was utilized for the video. So I think it's an accurate depiction, whether it happens a lot or not. Granted, we don't know how much snowfall we're going to get next year and how much plowing operations are going to continue for the city. So there's a lot that we really can't hang our hat on and make the assumption that it's unfair, and I'm up for compromise, but my position would be to maintain safe access, and as Molly pointed out, people don't park the best. and they were parked pretty tight to the curb line. And that always will not be the case. So I would err on the side of caution for safety from my perspective, which is why I made the proposition with the insight from Public Works and from Go Right Way, who are not only responsible for their travel time, but also for the kids involved too, to make sure that they're getting to school in time, which impacts the school and impacts the parents. So whether it happens a few times a year or not, I'm willing to accept the feedback from the residents who are unhappy with my proposition for the parking restrictions.
Then how far back on the south side, without restricting all of it, could you go back where a fire truck could reasonably make that turn? Like, does it have to be the whole 220 feet for a fire truck to make a turn?
We're not just limiting this parking issue to fire apparatus, though. It's also talking for plowing operations and for Go Right Way. And if Go Right Way, we're talking their route of travel was going north on Vincent Street and turning onto Ansley because of the backups that Crescent Drive imposed. So now I'd have to go back on a school bus, which I haven't done quite some time, and or have one of their drivers actually say, hey, here's where we actually need to go. Because now we're talking impacts on the north and south sides of the roadway based on the route of travel for either vehicles. So I don't know if there's a, based on my discussion with Go Right Way and Public Works, they said whether it's either all or nothing. If they're going to keep it consistent with not imposing this parking restriction, we're going to have complications potentially down the road, which I would like to get ahead of if there are any, instead of keeping it status quo and hoping that we don't run into issues down the road. Because I've been bit in the past with decisions where it's been working because historically things have been fine, but until something happens, then it's like, well, we had the ability to change something, but now, and we didn't because it was always fine and working up until then. So with vehicles getting larger, people not parking consistently, I would like to see it adopted to this new recommendation.
I also think that having it be different on both sides might cause a little more confusion too. I think it should be same on both sides, and I kind of agree with the idea of putting there's parking restriction on both sides of that road. I know I was traveling on Hinky by the Pig the other day, and they were doing concrete work there, and they had one truck parked there, and it made it go down to a one-lane road in that little narrow spot that's there. And so it's a similar type of design as to what's happening here. Just took one vehicle to make that traffic start to have issues because there was somebody coming the opposite way, so we had to each take a turn dodging around the one truck that was parked there, for example. So, and ultimately the residents there, they all have driveways they can park in, and it's just adding a little bit of distance to where they'd have to park for their guests or other people if they had to park on the road. So just a little bit extra walk.
I just want to point out or remind us, we still are in Milton. Like, I get it. Like, is there a way to compromise or try this out temporarily and make a decision later? Like, I know that, I mean, in every major metropolitan, there's all the time you're trying to go around in roundabouts. Go on Monroe Street, go on anywhere in Madison, go on the east side of Milwaukee. I mean, you are like waiting car for car, but those houses, whether they're parking, they have people coming and going or whatever it is, they shouldn't, I just don't feel like we should be prohibiting them access to their own homes that they pay for. And whether they have driveways or not driveways, you don't agree, Ryan?
Not sure how we're prohibiting access to their own homes. We're not prohibiting access to their own homes.
No, but let's say they have somebody come over or they have more than one person, and now all of a sudden they can't park anywhere, and now you have the whole neighborhood or those streets parking 220 feet away. So now we're just bumping those parking back. And I'm saying this is because I'm a street parker right now, and I'm very aware when it snows, where I'm parking, how I'm parking, what the access is, because I know I have to rely on the street. But I'm just saying, I also grew up, on the east side of Milwaukee, where, I mean, in the college you could barely fit one small vehicle because both sides of the streets they allowed parking. Now, I'm not saying that's ideal. I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying let's think about this and give it a little perspective, because now you're taking how many houses and saying, okay, well, you can park on your driveway, but you can't park ever in front. You can't. you know, there's groceries, there's kids, there's drop off, there's dogs, there's animals, there's visitors, there's, you know, parties, there's whatever. I'm just saying, I want the safety, like that's, I wish we had more of the neighborhood here, so we could hear from them, but I'm just saying, let's just give this a little bit discussion. I mean, I obviously put it out there as a vote, but.
When I drove through that neighborhood, to specifically look at this issue, I wanted to think, would I have an issue with this if I were a resident here? Would I have somewhere to park? Would my
Right.
friend visiting have somewhere to park? And no, I don't live in that neighborhood. I'm not one of those residents, but in my opinion, yes. They have garages, they have driveways, there is a park nearby, so there is a section of road in which there are not residences in front of that, so you know they're not taken up by other parking. So I do feel like there would be adequate parking for these residents if we did prohibit both sides of the road.
One, I don't feel that it's been adequately demonstrated that allowing parking on the south side of the road would prohibit emergency response of any vehicle down through there. When we allow parking on both sides, as you stated, Chief, there was a structure fire right there. That house right there. And our firefighters did a great job getting to that house and doing everything they could for that house and the resident there. So those houses have been there for, I might guess, well over 100 years. And now all of a sudden, it just seems like, well, we have to do this for the safety of everybody in that area. And also my understanding too, as part of this is for snow removal, I think we have an ordinance that says you have to get your vehicles off the street for snow removal. So to me, I don't understand where that one played in there either for snow removal. We already have an ordinance addressing that. And I think, again, it may not be ideal, but that whole area is not ideal. And I just think to blanket just and not take into consideration the people that live there, even if they're not going to come here, is wrong. And it's wrong of this council and it's wrong of our city employees.
Chief, how do you think the fire department would get to Evonic if there was an emergency? Or how would you get to Evonic if there was an emergency?
If I'm responding from the police department, I would go up Vincent from John Paul. So their route, though, would probably be Madison to Crescent to Vincent. They could run Clear Lake. They could run Front. They may just also run John Paul to Vincent, though, too, depending on what they're bringing and where the actual site issue is at Evonic. But in all likelihood, you're going to be having direct or response from both the north and the south.
The reason I was asking because that's right there on Vincent. So it's, well, that's the way I thought that maybe if fire trucks were coming from Edgerton, they'd be coming to get there if they had to.
If there's something at Evonic, you're going to get multiple agencies responding, so they're going to be coming for every direction.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-566, waive the second and third readings, and adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Number 9, discussion and possible action regarding approval of award of Arthur Drive and Janesville Street Utility Extension Project.
This is for the installation of sewer and water mains along Arthur Drive and South Janesville Street. There were bids received on July 29th. Baxter & Woodman has provided a bid award recommendation letter. The low bid was Globe Contractors, Inc. with a bid of $498,208. That's slightly over the pre-bid opinion of cost. But staff and Baxter & Woodman is recommending approval of or award of the bid to Globe Contractors.
Thank you. Any questions for Mark or discussion?
I make a motion to approve the award of Arthur Drive and Janesville Street Utility Extension Project to Globe Contractors Incorporated.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 10, discussion and possible action authorizing resolution 2025-20, a preliminary resolution declaring intent to exercise special assessment powers under section 66.0703 Wisconsin statutes along Arthur Drive in South Janesville Street.
As the council just awarded, water and sewer lines will be installed on Arthur Drive in South Janesville Street. Wisconsin statutes allow for the city to special assess properties that benefit from that construction. This resolution is the first step in applying the special assessments to those benefiting properties. Resolution 2025-20 allows the city clerk to establish a date for public hearings to be conducted to hear concerns about the assessments from affected property owners. The public hearing will be held during a common council meeting. The council will determine the assessments for the project. After the resolution is passed, a report will be prepared and sent to the property owners that provides for an estimate of the cost to the property owners. The council has the authority to consider payment alternatives for the property owners. Fiscal impacts, estimates of the assessments would be mailed to the property owners prior to the public hearing. In the future, recommend motion, city administration recommends approval of resolution 2025-20 and schedule public hearings for potential assessments to the affected property owners.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Paul or discussion?
Of the 6 parcels that would get water main, and then of the 4 that would get sanitary sewer, how many are served currently by septic or private well?
I don't believe any are currently have any sort of service.
Okay. And they would be required to connect, correct?
If they lived in the city.
If the property is within the city, one of the properties is not in the city. But if they were in the city and then to develop, or at the time they would need service, then yes, they would be required to connect.
Okay.
We would not require a connection to an empty property.
Right.
However, if there was a building, they would be required to
Okay.
connect.
Thank you.
Is there any estimation on, what that impact would be on these residents prior to the assessment?
This is not placing the assessment, this resolution. This resolution just starts the process. There will be a public hearing. That assessment would be mailed to all the property owners. And at a future common council meeting, we'll have an opportunity to address that.
And Molly, I just want to clarify, you asked about septic service. There is 2 properties that are served currently by city services within the assessment area. They're not on private septic, but they have water and sewer service. One is on the very north end and one is on the very south end.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-20.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Agenda item 11, discussion and possible action regarding temporary construction easements along Vickerman Road.
The attached temporary construction easements are being granted by Charter Next Generation and Agnew Farms to the city of Milton for construction associated with the street improvements on Vickerman Road. There's no fiscal impact outside of staff time for creation of the easements. Charter Next Generation is paying the cost of installing the street improvements as part of their development agreement, and no compensation is being given for the easements. Staff recommends approving temporary construction easements on V23-1469.70 and on parcel 611-272.
Any discussion or a motion?
I move to approve the temporary construction easements on V23-1469.70 and on parcel 611-272.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Number 12, discussion and possible action regarding accepting right-of-way on Vickerman Road.
When the city annexed parcel V23-1469.70, the right-of-way on the adjoining road was not deeded to the city. Charter Next Generation is deeding a 40-foot right-of-way from their parcel V23-1496.70 to the city to provide for the required right-of-way. Fiscal impact, the city began maintaining this section of Vickerman Road with the road order that the town of Lima and the city agreed to in December of 2023. Costs will be similar for maintenance of this right-of-way and Vickerman Road as any other right-of-way within the city. Staff recommends accepting the warranty deed for Charting Next Generation for the right-of-way on Vickerman Road.
I'll make a motion to accept the right of way on Vickerman Road.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding a stormwater easement along Vickerman Road.
One last easement. The attached easements are being granted by Charter Next Generation to the city of Milton for construction of a stormwater pond to serve the street improvements on Vickerman Road. There's no fiscal impact outside of staff time for the creation of the easement. Charter Next Generation is paying for the cost of installing the stormwater pond as part of the development agreement, and no compensation is being given for this easement. Staff recommends approving stormwater easements on parcel V23-1469.70.
Any questions or comments?
I'll move to approve the stormwater easement on parcel V 23-1469.70.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Okay, we're through those. Good. Number 14, discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of Milton Wildcats softball donation to the city.
The Milton Wildcats Softball Club has donated $2,500 to the Parks Fund to use to maintain the softball fields at Goodrich Park. This was approved or accepted by the Parks and Recreation Commission, and obviously recommend accepting it here at council tonight.
Is this from the dollars generated from the signage that they advertising, or is this different?
That's different.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the Milton Wildcat softball donation to the city.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Number 15, discussion and possible action regarding Liberty Park bench donation.
Betty Reed had reached out to the city to donate a park bench at Liberty Park in memorial of her son, Ryan Heisey, who passed away. The park bench is actually installed, so Parks and Rec has approved it, and we're hoping you approve it here tonight too.
I'll make a motion
Go ahead.
Please let this pass. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation for the park bench at Liberty.
Second.
One thing, there will also be a plaque on the bench for the memorial.
Oh, that's nice. We have a motion and a second on the bench that's already installed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 2025-567, regulating domestic animals in city parks.
This is a recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Commission to prohibit the use of the fenced-in area at Liberty Park for or used by animals, so kind of like a dog park. Again, Parks and Rec has reviewed the ordinance and is recommending approval here tonight.
Can I ask a question about that? Why just this park, or do we have this in other parks as well?
It was an area or an issue that was raised for Liberty Park. The ordinance certainly could be amended to include all fenced-in areas of baseball or softball fields as well, but the Parks and Recreation Commission had just discussed Liberty Park, so that's the way the ordinance was developed.
Do we know why?
I think people have been using it as a mini dog park.
Oh, so they just let their dogs run on this?
Yeah. When
Well, there's
one.
also a gentleman that likes to walk his two dogs off lead at the Parks by West Elementary, the baseball diamonds there, typically at about 7:30 in the morning. And he just lets them run through and if you say something to him, he said he was told by a Milton police officer that it was okay because he had constructive control. Because I've spoken to him about it. And I said, we have a leash law in the city.
Right.
Because the dogs run up to you and you don't know them. And he very, so I don't know why we wouldn't have it for all
Right.
parks, baseball diamonds, however you want to put it, because that's what he's using. And he does it almost daily.
Yeah.
But I guess I have to ask why. If, let's say they clean up after the dog, there's no one else there, where's the harm in any park? I've done this in the past, that's why I'm asking, okay? I've done it. It's great, they can run,
Because we
you
spent a
know?
lot of money to put in a dog park that is beautiful, and they can run off lead there, and it's wonderful, and they have water to play in and all those other things. And then when the dogs run around the baseball diamonds, those have to be groomed, and they have to be taken care of and maintained. And then the dogs running through them kind of messes that up.
I think another issue, especially at Liberty Park, that was brought up is owners aren't cleaning up after their pets.
And we have that
makes
issue.
sense, and so does the grooming, that makes sense, yeah.
And we have that issue in the dog park. There's an annual cleanup that's hosted by the Parks Recreation Commission at least once or twice a year where they do clean up, and there's a lot of folks, unfortunately, that do not clean up after their dogs. And if they're allowed to use other areas that aren't intended, we're fortunate to have a good park system and parks that are for different uses in the city. There's playgrounds and ball fields, dog parks, so there's areas for folks to use for the different purposes.
And I believe it's a similar reason to why I think, if I'm right, we don't allow animals now in the cemetery. I think a few years back we had the same discussion about the cemeteries because they people were not cleaning up after themselves, after the dogs. So we had to take away the rights to be able to have dogs in the cemetery.
Yeah, as a youth baseball coach, I've ran into that problem on our fields before, so I'm okay with amending it to include all parks as well.
If we did include all parks, what would the rough difference in cost for the signage be, Mark?
The signs are probably $25 a piece, roughly. And then our labor. So
So could we amend the ordinance and to include all city parks?
What I suggest is that you could approve the first reading with direction to amend the ordinance to include fenced-in areas of all parks, and then it'd be brought back for your second reading and possible passage at that time.
If we make it all fenced in, there are ball diamonds that aren't fenced in, that are open. That's why I would just say city parks, or baseball diamonds or something. Because like I said, we have ball diamonds in areas that are not fenced in, that are
Sorry.
being used.
But I would just want to clarify, so we have a leash law, so they should not be off leash ever. But I do think we should allow dogs in parks.
Do we just want to make it then ball diamonds?
yeah, so the concern from the Parks Commission was that we don't want them on the ball diamond, but we can allow them in the park.
Okay.
I think it would be a good idea just to do the ball diamonds, the fenced-in ball diamonds. I mean, people want to use our parks. We have wonderful parks, right? We'll allow people to walk their dogs, their cats, whatever, through our parks. Yeah.
My concern is we keep using the word fenced in, ball diamonds. Then how about just ball diamonds? There shouldn't be dogs out on ball diamonds. That's not where they're. If you want to have them in the parks, that's one thing. But out on the ball diamond itself,
How do you delineate a ball diamond?
well, that's that area that they've groomed out, and it's like a diamond.
So just the infield? Well, thank you, Ken. I will make no further comment on that, but thank you. Yes, a ball diamond includes an infield, but also includes an outfield. So I do believe that it should just be fenced in ball diamonds. And if they want to walk their dog through a outfield of a non-fenced in area, so be it.
So
And
what
if
ball
the kid's
fields
in
would
the
that be?
outfield and is running through dog poop,
Gorge is fully fenced in?
No.
No, so it'd be Liberty Park. Be Liberty Park, and I don't know if Schilberg is under the school district.
I guess
So
for me,
just Liberty.
and the reason I'm not trying to, is that if it's because we're concerned about them not picking up after their poop and everything else, there are children that are out in the outfield as well as the infield, and there's other than grooming. That's my concern with it. They shouldn't be walking their dogs out in the ball diamonds and that groomed area where the kids are playing baseball. Because for me, it's because,
And this-
sorry.
The city has no tennis courts, right? No.
Well, is the city or
Is it
school
the
district?
school?
The school district that has that.
Okay, okay.
We donated those over.
Yeah, okay, then we don't have to include that. Because I've in another city, taken my dogs to the tennis court. It also files their nails. as they run on the tennis court.
So I think what I'm hearing is then we're looking to probably focus on what would be the fenced-in parts of the parks where the ball diamonds are present. So if we can work on the language maybe.
Correct.
And bring it back. So I think what Attorney Schrader suggested would be appropriate.
That I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance 2025-567. And then if we could make some type of language to cover what we discussed tonight and bring it back for a second reading, that'd be great.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Can I bring, while we're is it appropriate to bring it? I just noticed that we don't have a lot of dog poop bag receptacles in this city. Is that something we could talk to Parks about?
We have, at the dog park, we
Yep.
have some, but yeah, you're correct. I don't know how much those cost. We could certainly look into that
Okay.
as an option in other parks if that's something that was desired.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item number 17, discussion and possible action on 2025-2026 outdoor display of merchandise license.
Kate Peterson of Hattie and Elsie, located at 650 College Street, has applied for an outdoor display license. And what that allows is merchandise to be placed on the city sidewalk. It does run from July 1st through June 30th, so there is no proration for this, but if it is approved, it will go through June 30th of 2026. Included in the memo is the requirements of where that merchandise can be and also any restrictions on what type of merchandise can be out there.
Any questions or motion?
I make a motion to approve the outdoor display merchandise license for Hattie and Elsie.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. General items, committee reports. Who has a committee report they want to share?
I'll go. Parks met. We reviewed a lot of stuff that we talked about in Parks, but one of the things not included in today's agenda was the community house. Voted to have Angus Young do 3 renderings of that space to determine what we want to do with that. So, more information to come.
That's great, thank you. Charles?
Yes, the library met on yesterday. And I know everything there is to know about HVAC systems now. And we love Angus Young, they're amazing. So we are looking at the library, it'll come to councils shortly, but looking at a new HVAC system for the library to protect everything inside and keep our people comfortable.
Cool, thank you. Any other committees?
Historic Preservation met and approved a certificate of appropriateness for gutter installation at 220 South Janesville. And we also worked on trying to figure out some sign locations for our temporary sign project. And then started to look at having a time frame for the cemetery project next time we do it, rather.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right then, staff reports. Go ahead, Mark.
Still quite a bit going on. We talked about the upcoming project with Arthur Drive and Janesville Street for utility installation. The TID 7 project is what we've called it, but that's Merchant Row, Vernal, Butte, and Morgan. That got underway a week and a half ago. Alliant Energy installed new gas lines along First Lane end of last week and completed their work today. Sounds like the contractor doing the utility work on First Lane will be mobilizing to site later this week, and that work will be proceeding. We did have a meeting with WISDOT staff regarding the previously discussed stop signs at John Paul and Madison Avenue. The library work will be another bigger project coming up, so still a lot going on.
Thank you. Paul?
Vickerman, believe it or not, is out to bid right now. Right now, the CNG is paying for this project. I'd like to remind council. The city is the sponsor due to a $500,000 grant that we did win for that project. the grants from Wisconsin DOT, so it's done as a state project, so there's a lot more particulars that we have to go through with that state project. That's why a lot of the easements tonight that we've discussed were on the agenda. Second, our bond that the council voted on at our last meeting did close today, and we did receive the funds, so everything worked out very well there. And that's my two big things for tonight.
Awesome. Jenny?
Just normal business, lots of licenses, applications for special events, etc. One thing that was kind of interesting was I did receive from Wisconsin Elections Commission the audit report for all of the polling places over the last 2 years that were audited for ADA accessibility. So it's 477 polling places. The city of Milton was not one of those polling places in this election cycle, so more than likely we may have one in the next. During that report that's about 30 pages long, it goes through any recommendations or areas that maybe there was areas to improve on those polling places, so our staff is going through those. Director Langer is looking at things like the parking lot to make sure everything is up to date or if there's any improvements there that we can make. And we are started receiving our election official forms of who is going to be in our 2026 to 2027 election cycle, so that's kind of exciting. If there's anyone that is interested, we are still accepting those through October 1st. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. Ashley?
The library saw almost over 9,000 library visitors in the month of July, so we're very busy in July. Our art walk, our second annual art walk, is up in Story Gardens right now. We have 18 crescent moons that were created by local artists on display. They'll be up during the whole month of August, and then they'll be auctioned off as a fundraiser for Story Gardens on Tuesday, September 9th at 5:30, which is also the Friends of the Milton Public Library Business After 5 event with the Chamber. Last year's auction with the Monarchs raised over $10,000, and we got those musical instruments in our gardens, so I'm excited to think about ideas for this year's auction. So come take a look at them, learn about the artists. They're all pretty amazing.
Awesome, thank you. And Chief?
All of our officers completed our annual state handgun qualifications, so everybody should be carrying guns in their holster still. We had several officers go through some active threat training at the Edgerton Middle School. This was a multi-jurisdictional response with Rock County, Janesville, Edgerton, Evansville, Clinton, a whole host of literally everybody from the county. So, because obviously if there were to be any type of active threat, we're going to get that multi-jurisdictional response. So that was good to have some of our officers hit that refresher. Officer Zebel and I were down at the Rock County Fair the other week, showcasing our squad gear at the Rock County Law Enforcement booth. So we had a lot of people walk through, not quite as many as last year, but a good chunk to get rid of some of our promotional items. I was also egged into doing a radio interview with WCLO at the fair, also just kind of highlighting some concerns in law enforcement in general, and also just kind of how people should interact with law enforcement if they're stopped or questioned or whatever. So it was a good little 30-minute plug. And we also, Mark, along with crew leader Smith, joined up with me and the School District of Milton to do a tabletop exercise on school reunification. So we basically had a tabletop of a scenario involving an incident in one of our local schools and what that would look like for city resources to come together, the school district coming together, public works coming together with the police department, Lakeside Fire, to kind of walk through what that's going to look like for a larger scale event and how everybody's going to basically have that multi-jurisdictional response. So our school district is doing a good job with a lot of that pre-planning in comparison to a lot of other counterparts throughout the county. And lastly, I was able to get some training of my own down. I went to FBI LEDA, which is Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, a week-long course on command leadership last week in Oconomowoc. So if you couldn't get a hold of me, that's where I was. Other than that, that's all we have from the PD side of things.
All right, thank you. So, team building, tonight's team building. What smell, image, or sound triggers nostalgia for you? Ken's super excited. Oh, go ahead, Paul. Sorry. Okay.
For me, it's a specific spot. It smells and sounds. It's walking through leaves on my family's property, thinking about the fall, and it just brings me back to that place every time.
Fresh cut hay or alfalfa.
Lilac bushes. We just had one growing up in the country. Love the smell.
Chimney smoke. You smell this, reminds me of the Smoky Mountains.
I'll go with a good campfire smell. Reminds me of being a kid, going camping with my parents.
A little tiny bell ringing. When I was sick as a child, I would go to my grandparents' house, and my grandma would give me a bell to ring when I wanted something. So I don't unfortunately get that anymore, but that little bell.
I guess mine would be, I was just trying to find a good way to describe it, but like that cold, crisp morning of a winter, like when you go outside and it's like a little bit of a chill, just kind of brings me back to the hunting camp with my dad and my family.
This is me kind of sad, but I lost my dad a year ago, and about a week ago I smelled cigarette smoke for the first time, and that made me just think of Dad and my childhood of growing up around cigarette smoke.
I was gonna wait, but I'll go. So diesel exhaust, straight up like the non-def, makes me think of time in the military, early mornings, powdered eggs with just add water. They're delicious. I love like that. But it makes me think of it every time, like a nasty diesel. I'm like, man, this brings me back. Military guys. Yeah, sorry. I had to beat Ken to it because that was yours, wasn't it?
Lord, no.
I now go. I can't believe none of you have said this yet. Bacon. It's the best smell in the world. I don't even know who you people are sometimes. Bacon takes you everywhere. Back, forward, up, down, around. The only thing that makes bacon better is more bacon.
I was leaving bacon for you.
I'm gonna go with frosting because my mom baked a lot when we were kids, and well, she still bakes a lot. And I was doing a gingerbread house for a Christmas in July event last week, and I made some frosting, and I remember that. So, that's what I'm gonna go with.
So just our fearless attorney.
And our police chief.
Oh, the chief slide. Oh,
And our two audience members.
oh.
I would say stink bait. I used to do a lot of catfishing when I was a child, and I haven't in years. And I came across a can not that long ago in the garage, and I cracked it. I should not have. And it reminded me of like when in summertime when I was younger, before I got a job, just living literally on the river all day long and fishing for catfish. There was one in Fort Atkinson. It was Uncle Josh. They had it, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say diesel fuel, because there is something about it that just triggers. Not, I didn't have instant eggs that triggered, but but otherwise, I would say in the evening with the damp smell of grass and soil, then what it takes me back to is high school football game nights, playing football. So, oh, I guess that would be it.
All right, 2 left.
I don't know if you guys know what tiger balm is. My grandpa always used tiger balm, and I just remember walking into his like at-home office and it always smelled like tiger balm because he always had eggs.
The sound of red-winged blackbirds sounds really hot. All right, well, thank you everyone for sharing. That was a good one. So, our next meeting date, August 19th, 2025. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.